Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Jason Spitzer, team lead at Spitzer Rutland, a real estate services team at Remax Metro, located in downtown St. Pete. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms watching. I hope you all got to spend it with your loved ones and enjoyed some time together. May, we're well into spring here. Pollen has shifted away from us, but we're now dealing with more of the heat, more of the summer pattern of storms. So this week is actually fairly nice, relatively moderate. But I know last week we had a few real scorcher days. So I hope you all are staying sun safe out there. But I wanted to really just touch quickly on the market. I think interest rates and inflation are probably the two things on top of everyone's minds. I'm going to focus mostly on the interest rates. I talked a lot last Real Talk about inflation and the economy more broadly. And you can watch that video on YouTube, and I think you can find it on our website. It's about a 20-minute video, goes very in depth into a lot that's going on in the world, the real estate market, the economy. I'm going to try to keep this video much shorter and just kind of have a quick summary of what's going on and what we're seeing and what has changed since last update, because there has actually been quite a bit that's changed since March. So about a week ago now, on May 4th, the Federal Reserve, increased the Fed rate by 0.5 point, which is significant. It's the largest increase they have made to the interest rate since 2000, so 20 years. So it was a major move by the Fed to tamp down inflation, as inflation right now is sitting about 8%. And that's been pretty steady for the last couple months. So they're trying to use what tools they have to bring inflation down. As I mentioned last meeting, they're also going to be starting to sell off the bonds that they bought or the mortgage-backed securities that they bought. So they're going to be doing the reverse of quantitative easing. There'd be quantitative tightening, which will act as additional rate hikes. So our current mortgage rate is about 5.5%, depending where you are. That's about the average. It can be above 6%. You know, what I've seen when doing the research to talk about this, CNBC and most of the trackers have it just above 5.5%. There are some indicators that people are in real time getting quoted 6 and up to just shy of 6.25. That's a huge difference from what we were seeing at the beginning of the year. I know we have buyers that we're working with on the team that have seen their interest rates climb by 1 point. So for them, that was a 25% increase in their interest rate. But remember that every point of interest rate increase for mortgage rates, that equals a reduction of 10% of what a buyer can purchase. So their affordability, what they can afford, is 10% lower. So it makes a big difference to buyers. With prices continuing to climb, as well as interest rates that have gone up recently, it's really brought a lot more pressure on buyers and on the market in general. And we're seeing some dampening of demand, but it's just now starting to take shape. This last quarter, so from January through March, we actually saw the hottest market here locally that we have seen. Even back when everyone thought last year in 2021, it was very hot and everything was crazy. Statistically, if you look at the absorption rate, we're actually at a worse absorption rate or higher absorption rate, with the highest 3-month span happening this quarter, higher than any 3-month span we have seen on record. Now, we are seeing some other changes. We believe a lot of that demand that took place this past quarter was due to interest rates starting to climb and the expectation that they would continue to climb. So we think you saw a lot of buyers trying to get in and lock in their homes and their rates before mortgage rates continue to climb, potentially pricing them out of the market. Inventory was actually up for the first time in March. New listings were up for the first time in March since the June-July period of 2021. So that was good news, but because of the high absorption rate, meaning all those homes got bought and then some, that led to only a slight increase in the inventory. So we saw a big bump in new listings, only a slight increase in new inventory because all those homes are being bought that are hitting the market. Month supply of inventory, which is one of the key measures we look at along with absorption rate, went from about 0.6 to 0.75. So just climbed up a little bit. We are expecting that trend to continue with rising interest rates and home prices that are continuing to climb. Affordability becomes a major problem for buyers. And that's going to bring down sales, and it's going to bring down the absorption rate. Inventory is really going to depend on the sellers. There are a lot of sellers that have locked in on that sub 4% mortgage rate. You know, there's going to be what they call the locked in effect, where they're not going to want to sell because they're locked in that low rate, and they're not going to want to go out, buy a home that's probably more expensive on a price per foot basis than what they currently own, and then also pay higher interest rate. So that could see additional or continued pressure, I should say, on inventory, because we still haven't built enough properties, enough homes. There isn't enough zoning for multifamily because a lot of the zoning laws are stuck back in the 70s. So there are a lot of structural changes that will need to take place before we're going to see a massive shift in the market. But like I've spoken about in previous months and in the last Real Talk in March, we are expecting to see a normalization over the next 6 months, potentially 9 months or 12 months it could take place. But we really think in that 6 to 9 month range, we're going to start to see a slower appreciation. So a normalization does not mean a crash. It does not mean a correction. It just means instead of climbing 20, 30% values of homes appreciation, we're going to get back to that 3 to 5% range. And some parts will be higher than others. St. Pete may be a little higher than the outskirts, or let's say St. Pete higher than Clearwater, and downtown St. Pete may be higher than South St. Pete or West St. Pete. So the micro market and the sub market you're looking in will matter and will make a big difference. But generally speaking, for Tampa Bay and for the country as a whole, we're expecting a normalization as this affordability crisis really comes to a peak, because as interest rates continue to climb, a lot of those would-be buyers are now being forced to be renters, but rental prices are at all-time highs. We've seen 20 to 30% increases in rental rates here in the Tampa Bay market. And we're seeing double-digit rates, rental rate increases across the country. So that makes it harder for those would-be buyers to get back to being a buyer, because with the increased rent rate, that's going to take away a lot of their savings. And that's one of the biggest problems for home buyers on affordability, is saving for the down payment. And the second piece is being able to make those monthly payments work. So we're going to expect to see a normalization, but right now we're in a very hot market. As I said, we see all the 3 highest absorption rates ever on record this past quarter. We do expect to see those slowing down, but they peaked in March is what our guess or our theory is. We expect them to come slowly down over the next few months, but we'll let you know because that data hasn't come out yet. So we're going to give you an update next month, let you know if that trend is about projected or if that changes some. If you see me looking off to the screen, it's because I have a timer set because I don't want to go too long here. So what does that mean for you? If you're a buyer, that means you should lock in right now. If you have the opportunity to buy a home and lock in that interest rate, now is the time to do it, because interest rates are not coming down. They're going to continue to go up. We expect them to finish this year probably above 7.5% mortgage rate, maybe above 8%. Certainly, we're going to see 8.5% interest rates on mortgages. It's just a matter of time. And so we're again at that 5.5%, 6% rate right now. And like I said before, every 1 point increase in mortgage interest is a 10% reduction in your affordability, what you can buy, purchasing power. And so the sooner you can lock in an interest rate, the better off you're going to be, the more home you can afford, and the more that home at the same price is going to be more affordable for you. We've seen on average with the increase in interest rates about an $1,800 more in mortgage payments over the course of a year that you would have to make. So if you want to save or prevent future increases, you want to lock in those now. If you're a seller, now is also the time to act. Where to go is the bigger question for sellers. What do you do once you sell? And that's something we can help you with and work out different strategies based on your individual needs. But generally speaking, if you're trying to get top dollar for your home, now is the time to do it. As mortgage rates continue to climb, as the market normalizes, things will change. There's also the threat or risk of recession. Economists are split on this. A lot of people have argued and will continue to argue on if a recession is on the horizon or not. I believe that there probably will be a recession. When it happens is the trick, and I don't know that, and I won't try to predict. But it's a very tricky maneuver that the Fed is trying to pull off to keep interest rates low and put a damper on the economy while not pushing us into a recession. And so are they able to stick that soft landing? We'll have to wait and see, but it's a very tricky maneuver and it's going to be very difficult to do. Labor, as I talked about before, inflation costs, the cost of all goods, that's causing prices to go up for home builders. And then labor, there's a labor shortage basically in every sector of the economy, and that is fueling wage growth, which is good for the workers, but it causes more inflation. So there's a lot of headwinds happening right now, but the bottom line is we're in a very hot residential real estate market, very hot commercial real estate market. And whether you're a buyer or a seller, now is probably the time to act. If you have specific questions or want to discuss your specific situation and talk about strategies or what may be the best route for you, give us a call, shoot us an email. We'd love to sit down and chat with you about what is the best strategy for your situation, because every real estate transaction is a very personal transaction. It's a very personal decision, and it really comes down to the individual factors in your life or your family's life. And so there is no blanket answers. We're just telling you, generally speaking, what's the market is doing and what most buyers and most sellers would benefit from doing. If you're looking to sell sometime in the next 6 to 12, 24 months, maybe even 36 months, you might think about moving that timeline up now, both to capture the heat or how hot the market is, and also to help you on the purchase side, the repurchase side, so you can lock in that low interest rate. And for buyers, as I said before, lock in the low interest rate, get one of these homes before the price and interest rate continues to climb. I know there are multiple people on our team that are looking for homes, are in some stage of that process, because we know that now is the time to lock in those rates. So if you have any questions, feel free to call, text, email Matt or I. It's either jason@spitzerrelland.com or matt@spitzerrelland.com. If you have a general question, you can reach us at info@spitzerrelland.com. If you haven't checked out our website, spitzerrelland.com, I highly recommend you do it. Tom, our director of operations administration, spent a ton of time on it. I think it looks great. We're constantly adding content there. We've got a blog post that goes up pretty frequently that can help you learn. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, definitely do that. If you're seeing this on our website or online, we give a lot of great value in our newsletter. We also have our mailing list contains a number of emails that can help you when you're looking to buy or looking to sell. A lot of tips. So sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next Real Talk, which will be coming out in June. Until then, stay safe, everyone. Have a great rest of your month, and we look forward to chatting with you soon. Thanks.